betting, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Bet with the Best podcast. Its mission is to explore better ways to bet on races, to seek out new, successful players, and to boldly go where no podcast has gone before.
The Bet with the Best podcast is sponsored by Amwager, an ADW built by horse players for horse players. Speed, power, and ease of use are at the core of Amwager. The platform is packed with features including live video, race replays, conditional wagering, and true odds, a predictive estimate of the off odds that will give you an edge. Amwager gives players the information and tools they need to quickly make anything from a win bet to a complex structured group of pick 5 tickets using the ABC strategy. With a rating of over 4.5 stars on Google, Amwager is a favorite among horse players. Sign up now at amwager.com to take advantage of the simplest sign-up bonus in the business, a 100% first deposit match up to $150. If you want to bet with the best, then you need an edge. You need Amwager.
Welcome to episode 50. Let's see, this is 53 of the Bet with the Best podcast. Once again, joining us on the show is Bruno De Julio. Did I pronounce your last name right there, Bruno? Is it De Julio?
It's actually pronounced De Julio. But
De Julio?
Okay. De Julio, everybody pronounces it. I don't even know anymore.
Well, I'll say De Julio. And for part 2 of our discussion on workouts, welcome back to the show, Bruno. Part 1, we kind of got into how you got into the game. And we talked a little bit about how, how to use or misuse workout information. So we're just going to spend more time, dig a little bit deeper. One of the things that, you mentioned, you do a lot of video workouts. I think it's mostly for the races in Kentucky, but you're actually videotaping.
We have all the Kentucky tracks. We have, if you want to see the videos, they're free. And they're sponsored and provided to by the KTA, the Kentucky Thoroughbred Breeders Association. I worked out a deal with Churchill Downs and with them where they, it's not free. I mean, I've got 6 crews of videos. I got a McKeelan, Churchill, Turfway, and try to hit the small track as well. We are adding probably Oaklawn again this year. So you'll be able to get the Oaklawn works as well. We did last year and it was highly successful. I learned a lot from that. And it's for free. You can go to KentuckyBred.org and scroll down. You'll see the green map of Kentucky and you can click on that and you have all the videos there that you can just put in a horse's name. And if we have it, it pops up.
So let's talk about that. If someone does that, and they're not an expert clocker like you. So what should they, what are things they can get out of watching a workout, even if you're not an expert? What should they be looking for if they pull up a workout on they go to the website and they pull up they see a horse that they're thinking about potentially betting? What should they be looking at?
I think first of all, they need to watch a lot of videos. They need to watch horses and get an idea what horses do. And then start understanding the correlation between the horse rider and the trainer. I sometimes look at the way the horse is moving. Then I look at the jock and the way he's acting and how the jock is responding to the horse. And what are they trying to accomplish? It is not a race. Every workout is not against time. And that's the one thing that people need to get through their thick skulls. It's not a race against time. It's working to get fitness. Like, for example, a lot of people go work out. You don't work out against a stopwatch, do you? Then why should horses do? You work out to get fit and you have a regimen that you're following. That's what it's all about. And horses will show you who they are if you open your mind to it. And the only way you do that, if you get experience. Now, for me, what has happened is I came from watching horses train in the morning without any cameras, without any replays. I got to see them for the 12 to 15 seconds down the lane, 20 seconds, and that's the only thing I ever had to be able to make that decision. With videos, what is allowed me to do is the workouts in my mind have slowed down. You hear a professional athletes talk about how the game is slowing down for them. That's exactly what happens to me, is by being able to watch. Now, when I go to the track and I see something at full speed, I know exactly what's happening because I was able to slow it down and see it on a video multiple times. So now when I see it on the track, I can recognize it. And that is one of the biggest things that you could do. It's not something you're going to be able to go on there, go look at him and say, oh, I'm going to bet that horse. If you do that, good luck. I'll take your money probably at the windows if we're betting the same race. Because you have to learn and have to have some kind of control about how you're going to view it, how you're going to use it, how you're going to break it down and understand what you're seeing.
So give some examples of what is it when you say you're looking at a workout where there's two horses in company, one's on the inside, one's on the outside. What does that usually mean when they put one on the inside, one on the outside? Is there significance to that? The trainers do that with a purpose.
What are the other options, Chris?
But I mean, you have to decide, do they do it randomly? Do they alternate? Do they
there's reasons why he wants a horse on the inside and the other horse on the outside. Because next time when they work, there might be the outside horse will be inside, the inside horse will be outside. Or
so what do you look for like the inside versus the outside horse? Is there anything you're looking at differently? I'm
just responding to what the horses are doing. I'm not looking at it differently. I'm just looking at them to see what they're doing. If the horse inside doesn't look comfortable in there, but then next time out, he's more comfortable outside, then he doesn't want to be an inside horse, or he needs to learn how to be inside. Not all horses want to run inside. You know that, right? The best way to stiff a horse is put them inside of horses and, they won't run. But if you put them outside, they run. So that sometimes you got to deal with. And it's just something of a feel that you get,
What about the riders? What are you looking for in terms of the rider sitting on the horse? Is there anything?
First of all, I need to see if the rider is competent. If he's competent and he's handling the horse well, that's fine. But there's some guys that look like sack potatoes. The ladies are really good on horseback. Ladies really look good on horseback. They understand it. They let, but there's some guys that just, they're heavy-handed, and they want to push the horse. And sometimes some guys want to go to the stick way too often and way too quick. I don't believe sticks should be used in the morning, but you get guys that are over there wheeling on horses down the lane. And you're like, why are you doing that? Just let the horse finish. Let him do it. And then next time out, he'll probably do a little bit better, or you'll handle him better. It's about how horses are handled. The better barns have the better riders. So you learn that as you go along and watching,
What about when they have a jockey on versus an exercise rider?
Jockeys go way too fast. People say, oh, yeah, or Irad or Jose was on that horse. Irad and Jose work everything at Saratoga. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean other than they got to go on there and completely get a feel for the horse. That doesn't mean they're going to ride that horse. I get a great example. A buddy of mine shipped in from Philadelphia with a first-time starter. Horse had been training really well. So he's going to pop him out of the gate 5 days before the race. And he puts Jose on him. And he told Jose, just go down the lane, break and just let him don't use him. Just let him do it on his own. Horse goes 46 and change, 45 and change, something like that. Out in 59. He got emptied. Jockeys have a different clock in their head, and they're test driving, and my experience is a lot of guys like to have jocks on, but a lot of experience for me is I like to see the top exercise rider on for that barn. rather than a jock. But everybody wants to know who's working who. Oh, IRED worked that horse. Or yeah, no, I'm sorry. Those guys, they don't have any. Just because they work the horse, that does not mean they're going to go run. They're going to, you know, be on board of that horse when he runs first time out or second time out. You know, so I mean, for example, I read on Jose work everything for Jose D'Angelo when they're in Florida. You know, that doesn't mean they're going to ride for him.
What about a solo work versus a working company? Is, you know, what would have, and why would trainers choose one over the other?
It depends on the horse. If the horse, you know, has a tendency to see, you don't want to take a horse. Let's say you and I are horses, okay? And we're both multiple winners. You put us in head to head in a workout. We're going to go 59 because I'm going to try to beat your brains out, and you're going to try to beat my brains out. That's not what the trainer wants to do. But when you put two competitive horses together with talent, they're going to do that because they're naturally competitive. So you don't want to stick two horses. You always want to, people say, oh, this horse worked with that horse. Yeah, but you know what? Here's what it comes down to. Christopher, you're a 101 type of horse. You're a horse that wants to go 101 flat. It's probably the best you're going to go. I don't know, let's say I'm a stakes horse. I'm just throwing that out. So my trainer wants us to work in 101. What's the best way for us to work 101? To put me with you because you can only go 101. Comprende?
Yeah. Yeah. So you're just saying they'll let that one horse do his thing. And
yeah, you let that horse do his thing, and he's not going to be menaced by a horse that goes 101. At best, you know, I will go a minute 2, you'll go 101. I'm not going to be stressing because you made me work faster. However, let's say I need a good work. Chris, you're the other horse in the barn that can go 58-4. Well, I need a good work. I need a stiff work. So he's going to put me in company with you at 58-4. So it's all about who that trainer is trying to accomplish and how he's going to use his horses. You know, for example, there's some horses that people call, they call them, you know, the spar. What do you think guys like Muhammad Ali or other big time boxers that's sparring partners? Because a sparring partner couldn't hurt them. Right?
Right.
You don't put Mike Tyson in with Muhammad Ali. Because Mike Tyson could have hurt him.
Yeah, he would hurt his sparring partners too.
Right. So it's the same mentality. You put horses together that you think are going to accomplish what you want for the one you know. For example, sometimes I just look for what's the work setting up for whom? And I get an idea of who that barn likes. You know? So then you'll get the straight maiden that never run before working with another horse, and he keeps beating him. Well, the straight maiden is going to go face tougher horses. But here you got the horse that can beat. The trainer's like, oh, you know, he's been beat every time. I'm going to run him for 32. And the horse wins for 32. People go, oh, but he was getting beat all the time. Yeah, because now he's dropping in class. He's been working with a straight main horse. Now he's got to go against a bunch of main 32s, his friends. Of course he fits in there. But people don't think that through. People don't think that mentality through when they're looking at a workout report. Oh, this horse has been beaten every single time. Well, yeah, but who was he facing? Well, I don't know. That horse hasn't run yet. Well, that horse must be pretty good. And sure enough, he'll show up in a straight maiden or he's a stakes horse. But a lot of times trainers will set up with teams that are fit, that are designed to help one of the horses in the drill.
So there's like one of the rest of them are sort of not completely, but sort of props to set set the work up for another horse.
Yes, absolutely.
And sorting through that and figuring out which horse is really the one that they're trying to benefit the most from this workout. that puts it into a better context.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I come back to this again. That's why you read the comments.
So a similar question, gate drills versus, just breaking off from a pole. And let's kind of break it into like horses that haven't started before. How do you evaluate the gate drills versus the others? And what are you looking
Gate
for in
drills are the
particular?
most important thing for young horses. That's the only thing that you're going to be able to separate. Horses showing speed from the pole does not equate them showing speed from the gate, period.
So you're looking for horses that break sharply and that
I
like
look at
from the
horses
gate?
that have talent from the gate. Yes. The gate's sharp, breaking sharp, every horse is different, but I've seen horses that don't have that gate speed, but they're terrific race horses because they have a middle move. They have the second eighth of a mile of every, the second eighth of a mile for every horse is always the one that'll tell you that they got run or not.
So it may not be that right burst from the gate.
Well, you got horses come out of the gate, they go 22-3, 34-2, and then they stop in 48. Yeah, no. I want to see the horse that goes 23-2, 34-4, 46-4. I want to see that middle move. That's where you separate the men from the boys.
And you're saying for these horses that haven't started yet, those gate drills, you put a bigger emphasis on those, especially from a time standpoint.
Absolutely. And you know what? Again, people sometimes talk out of both sides of their mouth because they don't know. And a horse will show up with no gate works. Oh, he hasn't shown a gate work. He hasn't taken him to the gate. That horse has probably been to the gate 3 times a week. But he doesn't need to have a gate work. He can pop out of the gate for an eighth of a mile and get okayed by the starter. I love that, especially if it's a maiden claimer, because it tells me the trainer is holding back because he doesn't want to work it from the gate because then all the clockers see it. All the clockers know what he's got. I had a filly, Chris. Her name was Leah's Legacy. She was with Norm Cassie. She cracked an ankle. I had to give her almost 8 months off. She comes back. She's always been really, really fast, but she has a habit of running off, meaning that she will grab the bit and go. If you let her, she would go 46 every week. Can't do that. So I remember I told Kent Sweezy, don't work her from the gate. I'll tell you one thing. You do that, you'll never bring her back mentally. She was a half-sister to Officer Quigley that I spoke about earlier. So now mentally, she's working 48, she's working 101, we're working her in the dark. Not that we're trying to hold her, we're trying to keep her mind together. And that sometimes is not about a trainer trying to bury a horse. It's a trainer trying to keep that horse's mind together. So I remember we entered her and I called Kent and I said, what do we do from the gate with her? He goes, nothing. I just stood her in the gate. I let her stand. I didn't let her pop. She was okay to Churchill Downs and a fairgrounds. So we were okay with that. So I just let her stand in the gate. I didn't press her mentally. She won by 6.5 first time out. Just blitzed them. Because we didn't, and she paid like $17 because we didn't let her, we really took care of her mind. And you got to understand that these trainers send these horses to the gate 3 times a week. So if you don't see a gate work, that to me is not a negative. That is a positive. Trainers telling you, I'm good with her from the gate. Because the starters at the gate have told me, here's another point. People think, oh, these guys are so good from the gate. Oh, Byford gets them ready from the gate. You know what? You know who works with the horses at the gate? It's the assistant starters and starters. Because the trainer, all he does is send the horse over there. And they're the ones working with the horse at the gate, not the trainer.
So what about the opposite? You see these horses that have had 5 or 6 gate drills before their debut. What do you read into that?
It depends on the trainer. I mean, Doug O'Neill, I don't know what happened with Doug this past Del Mar. He worked everything from the gate. He'd work 6, 7 horses from the gate on a daily basis. It was gate. And I'm like, what's going on? Because you can send the horse mentally over the top by being on the gate too much. And also, it's hard on their hind end. It's hard on their hind end when they've got to be able to spring out of the gate and push off that hind end. It really creates problems behind. So there's a middle ground, but you got to know who's doing it and who doesn't. Linda Rice was a trainer when she had a bunch of babies. I will tell you, she would have them all back there and popping out of the gate all the time. And every time they went into the race, they broke slow. They were over the top mentally. So you kind of have to understand your trainers. If I say to you, Wesley Ward, what's the first thing comes to mind?
Well, 2-year-olds that break like a rocket out of the gate.
Right. Exactly. And then
So how does he do that? Why do his horses tend to break so sharp compared to others?
He knows how to get them ready mentally for it. I remember one time, I know Wesley really, really well. We've known each other for 25 years, maybe longer. And I remember one time he said, "Hey, catch my gate." Okay. So 2 of them broke really well, and the third one didn't break. So I clocked him, and I watched the horse go. And he walked by me again from the gate, and I said 46-4, 47-2, and I didn't get the last one. He didn't break. And he looked at me and he goes, "That's because I didn't break down." He didn't break it at the farm. He didn't teach it how to do it at the farm without overdoing it, and the horse broke slow. Somebody else had prepared it. You can give bad habits to horses, teaching them too soon, or pushing them too hard.
So one more question on gate drills. I mean, say you have the typical 2-year-old, 5.5 furlong maiden race, and you have a horse with a fast 4 furlong gate drill that looked good in the workout versus another one with 5 furlong gate drill.
It all depends how each one of them did it.
So do you have any preference? Do you like it better when they're 4 or 5?
Let's say the 4 furlong horse, he went 46-2, 58, galloped out in 111. But they only gave him 48. Okay. The 5 furlong horse, he went 49, a minute 2, and out in 101. They gave him a minute. What are you going to like?
So you need to look at all the fractions, not just the final times, what you're saying.
Yeah, you need see again, it's how it's delivered to you. If you're just looking at the time and the past performances, it's like looking at a roulette table. You have no idea what you're getting.
So what about the gallop out?
Here's a great example. Here's a great example. Okay. You got 3 horses coming out of the gate. They all broke together. I'm going to call them horse 1, 2, and 3. Horse 1 is only going to go 3/8. He goes 35-3, but he was 3 lengths behind the other 2. Okay. So the other 2 went 35. You got to, for those of you at home, get a pen and a pencil and write this down. Okay. Put 1, 2, 3. Horse number 1 with 35-3 was 3 lengths behind after 3/8. Horse 2 and 3 went 35, but went on to the half in 47-1 for number 2. The number 3 went 46-4. Well, the number 2 horse that went 47-1 gets the half mile time. The horse that went 46-4 goes out 59-4 for 5/8. Okay? He gets to 59-4. So now, when you look at your workout rankings, the one horse who got beat by 3 lanes was 1 out of 25, was fastest out of 25 at 3/8. The second horse that went 47-1 and got beat by 2 lanes for the half mile was 1 out of 63 at the half. So The number 1 horse gets a bullet. Number 2 gets a bullet. The 3 horse, he gets a 7 out of 30 because he was 59-4, and there was 6 horses that went faster than him. The 3 horse was the best. He was a bullet at 3/8. He was the bullet at the half mile, and he went 59-4, but yet got no love in the workout rankings because he got 7 out of 30. The 2 horses that got beat in that drill both got bullet works. You tell me how a handicap is supposed to make sense of that.
Good question. So let me give you another
I've seen that happen quite a few times, and I laugh about it because I go, these jokers are going to go for the 1 and the 2 horse. They're going to love him because of the bullets. I love the horse that went 59-4. That was much the best.
And it finished up the best, which kind of leads to this next question. The gallop out after the timed work, what are you looking for there? And
it's an extension of the work. It's an extension of the work. Say, for example, Todd Pletcher gets 4 furlongs for all of his works, right?
Unknown caller.
Gets 4 furlongs for all his works. So they'll go 13, 25, 49, right? He gets a 49. Well, that's when his work is just starting. He goes a minute 4, 12-4, 26-3. Horse works 7 furlongs and 26-3, but he gets a 49 in the paper.
And what about when the horses are in company with each other and they kind of finish the work up together, and then one of them kind of gallops out well in front of the others? Does that have some significance?
It all depends. It all depends. There's no rule that covers everything. For example, let's say you got 2 horses working. One of them is entered in 7 days, and they go 48-3. The inside horse goes out in a minute 2, but the other 48-3, the guy peels off and goes off and doesn't gallop out. People say, "Oh, wow, look, he pulled him up." Yeah, he did, because he doesn't want to work too fast because he's got a race coming up in 6 days.
Right.
So you got to understand, and you got to know, is that horse coming back? Is he entered? What's going on? Or did he want to do more with the other one because he's trying to get him fitter, and this guy is fit? There's so many scenarios that are different. What if you've got a horse that's a 4-year-old working with a 2-year-old, and the 2-year-old is only half a mile fit? The 4-year-old goes on in 59-4 and out in 13, and here's the 2-year-old going 47-2. People are going, "Oh, he got outworked." No, he didn't. It was by design. He's not supposed to go 5/8.
So let's talk. I got some other questions, maybe. And again, I know they're hard to answer because it depends on so many things. But let's talk about horses that have already raced. They're not first time starters or anything, and they could even be older horses that are experienced. What about when the trainers work those horses from the gate rather than not?
I downgrade those. I don't look at them like I do with first time starters, because any winner has had to work well from the gate or run well from the gate to be a winner. So once you become a winner, and those gate works are not as important to me as first time starters or second time starters. And let me tell you this. It's another one you need to write down. Good gate works show up on the tote board. When you see a horse that got bet down, you will find a good gate work there. Clockers love to bet gate works. All they care is about the gate works in reality. The flat works, all right. But the gate works are the gateway to understanding that animal. And when you understand that animal, you have a chance of being able to catch the ticket. That's why clockers always they give themselves a full second. For example, at Saratoga, they'll tell you, "Oh, the horse went 13 from the gate and tack on 13." Instead, I'm talking inside baseball here, but clockers would give themselves a second, so they have an advantage over everybody else. The gate is the gateway to you understanding who the horses are.
But you're saying that they can actually end up getting over bet a really fast gate work. That's the kind of thing that will show up on the tote board.
Yeah, because the fast gate works attract attention. And we go back to what we said earlier. Why do clockers do what they do? Because they want people to bet for them. So it goes in hand, right? Chris, you're a clocker. You got a horse in 59. You got clients that call you for information and they're going to make win bet tickets for you or give you money. So, you tell them, hey, this horse went 59, but he went a minute, but I had him 59 and 1. And, they're giving that so people can bet. And all of a sudden, these people are betting a lot of money and it shows up on the tote board. It's a vicious circle,
So what about older horses? The other time where, people pay extra attention to clockers, don't want to downgrade the importance any other times, but, horses that are experienced, but they're coming off a layoff. What are you evaluating their works differently?
How they're moving, how they're acting. Do they look sharp? Are the trainer not wanting to push them? A horse coming off a layoff, you don't need to see bullet. You don't. All you need to see is, regular works, 101, 101 and 2, minute and 4, 13 and 4. Inside of one of those works, it's a real good work somewhere. Sometimes trainers only let a horse run once in the morning, just once, let them roll. And you got to know which one it is. And it goes back again. Read the comments. I will say this was the key drill for this horse. And then next time out, I'll tell you, don't hold it against them. He just went 102. See, some people need to validate. And I never quite understood that, where they see a horse work fast, and then they were watching for him next time out because they need to validate what they saw before. No, you Nimrod, you just saw what you needed to see. That horse is just going to go 102 now. He's not going to show you a thing. Trainers are not dumb. Most of the money that goes through the windows comes from the backstretch, period. I knew trainers that would tell me, Bruno, I don't bet. And I would come back and say, well, it means somebody's betting for you. So when you're looking at it, and these guys know it as well too. Or it's like, for example, I like a horse and he's 8-1 and he goes off in 9-2, and I still get it. I go, how much did you bet? And I'm like, are you an idiot? You see, there's like $700,000 in the win pool. You think that's my money? You don't think the owners or the trainer or even the jockey doesn't know he's sitting on something? You don't think they're betting? I mean, a lot of people don't think through what they say. They don't think it through. As I said earlier, society today has made stupidity a brand. And if you think about it, it's pretty funny. But
what about the spacing on the workout, especially like off a layoff for 2-year-olds?
That is the biggest bunch of bullshit I ever hear. Oh, he's working this horse every 7 days. He hasn't. I was going to use another word, but it's a horse factory. It's an assembly line. 7. You know what I like? I like to see the trainer that goes, you know what? I waited a couple of extra days. I give him a couple of extra days. He's coming on good. I felt I was ready to work. But every horse that goes 7, that's just an assembly line. Trainers just filling in the blank. Oh, send them out there 7 days. Al Stahl was great when we had Bo Cruz. I mean, he would be like, I don't know when I'm going to work him. I'm going to let him tell me. And sure enough, 10 days, 9 days, and he'd say, okay, he's ready, and he'd run him. A good trainer is a trainer who listens to his horse. A good trainer is one that listens to his horse and not trains by the training chart. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So what about if there's a big gap, like 2 or 3 weeks, and then they start working up again? Does that concern you at all?
If he's got a 3-week gap and he comes back with a 59 and change, that horse has probably been working somewhere. It just hasn't reported.
Okay.
But they come back off of 3 weeks and they go 4 furlongs and 50, then they miss sometimes for something. Now, nowadays with HISA, if they inject joints, they got to take 10 days off. They got to take 15 days off. I think there's certain specific times that they cannot bring back. They can't inject the horse and run him right back, work him right back. So you might see a horse for 2 weeks not have it work. That's because probably he got injected per HISA standards. And you can go to HISA.gov and probably take a look at their requirements for when horses get injected.
Okay, so I got some more specific questions about different kinds of workouts. What about turf horses working on the turf? For turf workouts, are you looking for anything different than you would in a
all I
dirt
look
workout?
is a gallop out on the turf. It's not you can't. I love when guys go, "Oh, you work 59 on the turf." It doesn't mean anything. Turf works. The speed on the turf works means absolutely zero, nothing. Because first of all, they're running around the oval there on the turf with the dogs out 25 to 65 to 85 to 112 feet out. So we can't time races right. You think we're going to be able to time a horse going around the dogs at 120 feet out? So no, I look at the gallop out. I look at the way they move and they gallop out. That's the only thing. So turf works. And then, a horse will train well on the dirt. A turf horse will train well on the dirt. That tells you he's in good form. I had one analyst who used my name on a show. He goes, "Oh, Bruno likes this horse. He's a turf horse working. He's got him 4-star works on the dirt." That doesn't mean anything. This horse is, is working, running on the grass, not on the dirt. I wrote him and I said, "Don't you ever keep my name out of your mouth if you're going to knock something I do in the morning." And guess what? The horse won.
So what about, do you put much stock in those dirt workouts for turf horse if they don't work?
I just told you, yeah.
If they do well, what if they don't look good? Well, if they don't look very comfortable, will you hold that against them on the dirt?
No, I will write in there, "This is a turf horse."
Okay. And
you can see it, especially when the track is really chewed up. You can see they're like not grabbing it, and I'll write, "Hey, even a first-time starter or something that's running, I'm like, this guy looks more like a turfy type. He's not handling the loose track." I'll try to write that as much as I can.
What about synthetic? Do you
Next. That garbage.
I mean, workouts on synthetic, like they do at Santa Anita a lot now. They use that, that track.
It's the same principle apply. How is the horse doing it? What synthetic does is takes brilliant speed out of a horse during in racing. It takes the brilliant speed out of them. So you get a bunch of horses on pogo sticks going around, and it depends, and it makes. And I used to say this all the time. Synthetic makes a slow horse fast and a fast horse slow. Because it takes all the brilliant speed out of a horse. Remember curling? Curling can stand up on it.
Yeah, I know that the Bob Baffert, who wasn't a fan of synthetic, said the same thing.
I'm not either.
It takes away their brilliance, is what he.
But it also creates soft tissue damage. See, the way these tracks have gone, they'd rather have a horse pull up back there and come back with a tendon because nobody saw it get hurt. But where you wouldn't see it on the track, but they come up with soft tissue damage, suspensory damage, ligament damage. Hind end problems come from having to race on synthetic because it's not giving. There's no, see, on the dirt, you hit the ground and you slide, right? Have you ever played on AstroTurf? I played ball on AstroTurf.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I hated it. I mean, my knees, ankles, and hips were never the same because there's no give to it. You step and you don't move, and that's why a lot of players in the NFL that run over this fake turf stuff, and they have end up having a lot of ACL and MCL injuries. It's because when you plant your foot and you cut, you don't slide, and it puts all the pressure on your ligaments and joints. Um, it's I'm not a fan of it. I won't play it because I think I'd have to handicap for the slowest horse in the field most of the time.
But from a workout perspective, you're just, if the horse doesn't move as comfortably, you're not going to hold that against it. But if it seems like it's training well, you might note that, sort of the same thing you did with the turf horses on the dirt. Is that how you look at that?
It's same principles apply,
Yeah.
I mean, Chunk of Gold worked really, really good the other day at Turfway and ended up, I don't know what he did. What did he go? What did he run? The Chunk of Gold run back off that work?
I don't think he's pointed for a race coming up. I don't think he's run yet. Recently anyway. I think one of his races this weekend he'll be running. There's several 3-year-old races. But yeah.
Yeah, he's in the entries. He's in the he was supposed to go. He's entered in the St. Louis Derby in the FanDuel at Fairmount, and he's also entered in the Bourbon Flight Stakes at Churchill Downs. Yeah. But he had a really big work over at Turfway Park. And you can go to KentuckyBred.org, scroll down, click on the videos, put his name in there, Chunk of Gold, and you can see it.
So you kind of hinted on this some. Is there certain tells that you see either positive or negative with certain trainers in the mornings that will either really turn you on or off from a horse? Say it's from Bob Baffert or Pletcher or Cox or any particular trainer. Is there something that's unique to that trainer that says, oh yeah, this horse is probably well meant or not, or is it just more generally applied to any trainer? Just wondering if there's any special cases.
Talent. I mean, I did really, really well going to the sales and buying horses from their looks, the way they move, the way they act. And that's basically what I go by. It's all about how they move. And sometimes, I even get the videos from the sales that shows them walking and stuff. And I've handicapped straight off with maidens. I've handicapped straight off those walking videos and picked winners, by just looking at the way they're built, the way they move, and their conformation. I've been able to do that. Obviously, I've bought my own. I bought 2 graded. I spent a combined total of $62,000 on 2 horses that are both graded winners. Bo Cruz I bought for 45 and 45,000. He won the Grade 3 Commonwealth, and Miss Locust Point, who won 2 Grade 3s. I bought her for 17,000, and we turned her into a $1.8 million horse. So it's about the way they walk and move. And I don't buy many horses. I don't buy very many at all. Maybe I'll buy 1 or 2 a year at the most. So we've done really well with our bloodstock division. I bred Officer Quigley. I've got 2 really nice yearlings that are going to go to Wesley Ward. I've got a Painter Colt that's going to go to David Fox. So, I mean, we've done very well with very little money. Very little money. We've done very well at racing over the years.
So when you're looking for horses, the way you like the way they move, is there any way you could describe what a good mover looks like versus a bad mover?
It when you see it.
Okay, I was afraid you were going to say that. Okay, so
it's tough to explain. It's like, I'll tell you how people got there can learn. You ever sat there and watch people when they walk?
Not in particular, but you're saying you can tell how they move. Some move smooth and some don't.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Some their knee comes in and touches the other knee when they're walking. Their foot hits, at a weird angle when they come in. I mean, and horses are the same way. You don't want to see a whole lot of play. You don't want to see rotation. You don't want to see a horse's right knee facing south. You know, you don't want that. But there's some subtle ways of it's subtle. Sometimes you don't see it. And there we go back to the thing again, attention to detail.
So what about, and most people don't see this, but like you're looking at horses besides just the workouts, in terms of the way they're galloping stuff. Is there anything you're looking for when a horse is galloping in particular?
Every horse is different. I've seen some horses gallop that look like they couldn't pull a chuck wagon. And that's just who they are.
And they look like that every morning.
Are you a football fan? Are you a football fan?
Sure.
Remember Earl Campbell?
Yeah.
He was phenomenal running back for the Houston Oilers. And you watched him, and when he ran and he got hit and he went down, he would get up and he would just look like he was broken down, exhausted, about ready to keel over, walking back to the huddle, and they give him the ball again and he rip off another big play again. Horses the same way. They'll go out there and they're, I mean, you got horses that look like Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning, does he look like an athlete to you? I mean, some people don't look like athletes, but yet they are. And Peyton Manning was a terrific, terrific quarterback. Now he's motivating Manning, or debating Manning, or
Rich Manning. Yeah.
But I mean, just watching horses. If you're looking at a galloper and he's really pretty mover, I'll pay a little attention. Especially if they got good coat, good weight, they're moving well. But I try to get to know a horse and the way they move, because then you're not going to fall into the trap that most people do. Oh, he didn't look good this morning. Tell you one, remember, what's the name of that horse? It was really good. Cruel Jack had it in California. Recently got retired.
Oh, the sprinter.
Yeah.
I know you're talking about, but I can't come up with the name. But yeah, he just reeled off win after win after win out there. Chosen Braun. Yeah.
Yeah. You watched him. I didn't like the way he moved behind, and he got worse and worse behind. It probably had a bad hind end.
Well, eventually he ended up going to the sidelines. Yeah, but he just kept.
But he was. I mean, when he won his last race at Del Mar last year, I remember coming back and I was talking to Nick Hines, and I go, "I don't like the way he came back." Oh, that's just the way he goes, bro. I said, "No, Nick, I didn't like the way he came back." And then he didn't run any good, and then he retired. So
then the Breeders' Cup wouldn't let him run. He got all mad that they scratched his horse.
Hey, he wasn't right.
And then the horse never ran again.
Yeah. He wasn't right. I mean, it's just I love when some of these owners get all ticked off. Oh, they scratched my horse in the Derby. Oh, they did this. Well, he didn't show back up. You didn't run him for 3 months. Why? Because there was something wrong. Sometimes these guys just really outdo themselves. When they start going on and on about how their horse, was nothing wrong with my horse. Remember with Forte? Oh, there's nothing wrong with my horse. There's nothing wrong. Really? And is that why you took 3 months to get him back? Why? I mean.
Yeah, I mean, the track record for those big race scratches that the connections complain about, very few of those horses come back and run anytime soon after that. So I do think you're right there that a lot of times, you got to give credit to whoever's making those decisions, because it seems like they tend to be proven correct going forward. But that's a good transition, because I know you watch races too. So I'm just curious, when you're watching a race as opposed to a workout.
Let me stop you right there, Chris. Hold on.
Sure.
I can tell you from personal experience. When we entered Officer Quigley to run before he ever started. We entered him. And the morning of the race, he was a touch off. And Al was like, I don't know. The vet saw it. I didn't, I don't know. But we sent him to get nuclear scan. And he came up, he had a crack deep inside of his cannon bone. So there was something there. Bo Cruz, when we gave him time off, we brought him back. He had a couple of, he had a bad race when we ran in the Iowa Derby. We sent him to get scanned. He had a crack in his pelvic bone. Couldn't tell. It doesn't show up. It doesn't swell, and there's nothing there unless you actually get a scan. So a lot of the times, some people do not get their horses scanned. They think, oh, yeah, he's fine. And then they end up breaking down. So, but the vets pick that up. And if they do that, then you give them the time. And we brought Quigley back, and he ended up winning our first 2 starts, once we got him over that shin issue, but we wouldn't have known unless we got him scanned and found that he had a crack deep into the bone. So I'm going to say that there's probably a lot of horses like that they're running badly, and their people are not taking the time to and spending the money to make sure that horse is okay. So when Forte went off form, I said there's something wrong with him. And if the guy said there's something off and he's off, then you got to believe him. You got to do the work. And if you notice throughout the whole time, Top Pleasure didn't say a word. And the horse didn't come back for 2 months, for 6 weeks after that. So there's something to be said to the professionals that are looking at the horses that sometimes they see other people don't. And we go back again, attention to detail.
So the question I was going to ask is, when you're watching a race as opposed to a workout, what are you looking for when you're watching a race that helps you understand that horse and, maybe can help you going forward in the horse's future races? I mean, what are you looking for?
I don't look for trouble, because everybody sees the trouble. I look for horses out of place. In other words, if I think that horse has speed and he's near the back of the pack and he's climbing, people usually go, oh, he couldn't go out of he broke bad, he didn't do anything. Well, he doesn't like dirt in his face. And he got back there and he's in a bad spot. I just draw a line through it. But I don't look for trouble when I watch replays, because everybody else sees the trouble. Well, and horses that get into trouble usually get into trouble all the time. I look for horses that are out of place, that are not in the right positions, that are not in the right in the right frame of mind to run. And I know about them going in, so I kind of have an expectation of what I should see.
So you're kind of looking to see if they're in what would be a comfortable spot for them, and when they're not, how they're reacting to that. And if it's poorly, you can say, hey, I could just draw a line through that. If he gets in a comfortable spot next time, he could be a whole different horse.
Right. Exactly. If they go out of the gate, show the speed that I thought they had, and come to the quarter pole or the 8th pole, and they start backing up, then maybe they're not as good as I thought they were. You're not who I thought you were then,
No, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, I think you've answered pretty much all the questions I've had, so I'm going to give you the chance here to add anything else that we haven't covered that you'd like to cover. This is the chance to get that in. So, take it away with anything else if there's anything we've missed.
When you're reading workout reports, read 1 workout report, not 5. When you read 5, you're just going to play with your brain. It's going to mess with your brain. Read 1 guy, trust 1 report. That's it. Because if you read 5, you're going to get 5 different opinions, and then what do?
Yeah, there's a saying, the man with 2 watches never knows what time it is.
Oh, I've never had more than 1 watch at the racetrack. And I see clockers that have 5 watches on their thing. And I'm like, no. How the hell you know which horse you got on which? I do everything. For example, when I clock multiple horses, I split everything. So, for example, I've got Chris from the 5/8 pole, right? I stamp on you. So now I got you on my watch. I got another horse going from the 3/4. I snap on that and I note it 6.0 from the 3/8, and I put that down. Now I got a third one going from the half. I hit that. It's on a 14.1. So now I got a zero. I got a flat one. I got a 6.1 and a 14.1. Let's say I get one other horse. I got a 24-3 split. So now when I'm going through, I got 4 horses on the stopwatch. All I need to make sure is I keep track of each one and which of the splits I'm going to use. So let's say you're the first horse and you come home in a minute 2. Well, the second horse that I had from the 5/8 on a 6.0, he comes home in 107 and 1. You do the math. That's 101 and 1. Now I got the third one that was on the 14 and 1. He comes home and he comes home from the 5/8 from the half and goes, let's see, trying to come up with where I got it right. Let's see, if I do a 48, I got 52 and 4 on the 14 and 1 split. 52 and 4 minus 14.1, that's 48 and 1. Did you get all of that?
No, my head's exploding, and I'm pretty good at math, but like I said, I don't know how you guys do it with all these horses going off at the same time.
I got a funny story for you. Maybe about 15 years ago, I was up in the press box at Del Mar. Guy comes up, hey, you said, anybody is welcome to come up here and talk with you and check it out. I said, yeah, sure. So we go outside, and it's going to be right after the break at Del Mar. And the guy looks at me and he goes, how could you miss Kona Gold yesterday? And last week. He went 58. How did you miss that? How could you miss that? And I kind of looked at him like, if I could have thrown him off the balcony, I would have. And, because you don't do that. You don't come in my house and start telling me what I did wrong. And after the break, Chris, my stopwatch didn't stop for 6 minutes and 50-something seconds, meaning that I had horses that I was recording in 5-minute and 11 and 2 split to 6-minute 13 and 3 split. Real quick, how much that? That's a 102 and 2. There must have been 150 horses that worked within 10 minutes. And I looked up at him and his mouth was open like, I said, first of all, did you pick one out during that time? No. I said, and also, you wondering how I missed Kona Gold going 58? He worked at 4:30 in the morning in the complete darkness. Okay? So a lot of the times that people want to complain about clockers, oh, you didn't have that one, how convenient. They don't realize that you've got 100 horses working within about a 12 to 15 minute span. And nobody's saying, hey, Bruno, the Kona Gold's on the track right now. Nobody's telling us that. Nobody's telling us who they're going out of there. You're just reacting to all the chaos in front of you. Horses don't have jerseys with their numbers on.
They should.
Yeah, right. Yeah. What could go wrong, right? Oh, let's put Chris. He's a grade 1 horse. We're going to put the jersey of the maiden 32 on his back. Yeah, that would never work. Never work, because people would sit there and take advantage of it.
The closest thing we have to it are those like saddle cloths they use for the Derby and the Oaks or the Breeders' Cup, right? Just so you know, at least.
Yeah, those guys are wanting to promote their horses, so they're going to be right. But can you imagine trying to do that with a maiden or maiden claimer?
Yeah, with 500 horses or whatever.
Yeah, it would be a situation that these guys would be taking advantage of it left or right. These guys already don't want to give people calls. I've had trainers trying to change their saddle cloth so we won't get a video of them.
I believe it. The trying to hide a workout, a fast horse is one of the oldest
it's an honor badge for them.
Memes in the horse racing, right?
Oh, it's an honor badge. It's an honor badge for them to do it. They don't think twice about screwing the public. Not even once, or not even think about it. It's like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to call it in. And it's funny. I've got a few friends of mine that are clockers, and we give them hell. And if I catch see, that's when I go back again to what I said earlier in the show. I said, you never tell them you don't know, because I have had trainers that I walked up and I've told them who that horse was that it worked. I knew who it was. I was sure of it. What I'm doing is I'm setting it up for next time, because I know if I told you I didn't know, you would lie to me. That comes from my investigative background. I went through the FBI interviewing and interrogation techniques. You never tell anybody you don't know, ever.
Well, so that might be a fun thing to end it on. Do you have like a good story of some larcenous exploit associated with clocking and workouts?
Oh God, where do we start?
Big put over.
I will tell you this. Jerry Dutton was one of my favorite guys in the track. He was really good with 2-year-olds. And one day I clocked one of his horses going 46 and change out of the gate, and there was a baby, So I'm walking down by Clocker's Corner at Santa Anita, and Jerry's walking out of the men's restroom. And he's like, hey, what are you doing? Because we used to hang around and have dinner. And I said, yeah, I really like that chestnut you worked out of the gate. And he looked at me and he goes, Bruno, we ain't sitting around here licking our nuts. And kind of stuck with me a little bit, and he's right. It's like he knew. I didn't have to tell him. He knew. I got another one with the old Bruce Jackson. Remember from NXS way back in the day?
Yeah.
I had my book in the pad in my box when I was clocking, and I went to the restroom, and he had worked the team, and one of them was lame, dead lame. And I come back, and there's Bruce going through my book, and he goes, "You're an idiot." And I go, "What'd I do now?" And he goes, "That horse ain't lame." I said, "Bruce, that's the horse that's been off for 3 freaking years." Well, he was sick. I get the hell out of here. He was off for 3 years and he was sick. Right. The horse never ran, So little things like that, or sitting clocking a Baffert team out of the gate. And this kind of encapsulate what I'm saying about horsemen. I had him 11-2. And Bob is in front of me on the apron. He looks back at me and he's like, 13-4, right? And I'm kind of laughing, and I go, are we going to do this? We're going to barter for time? And he goes, I go 11-2. And he looks back up at me, goes 12-3. I go 11-2, Just little stories. I gave you the story about Gentleman's Bet, and that was a great, it was a really good story. There was one this year at Del Mar. Horse's name was Dirty Rich. And he was working at Churchill in June, and I loved him. He was a big, strapping, good-looking colt for Peter Miller. And he showed speed for half a mile and stopped in the race. He got bet. He was live. And I kept him in the back of my head. And at Del Mar, the opening week, Peter had a couple of teams out of the gate, and I could have sworn one of them was Dirty Rich. But he didn't come up on the tab. They gave him a flat work, not a gate work. I'm like, no, that was Dirty Rich. So he goes and he enters him, and let me tell you the date that he ran. And I picked him on top. And I couldn't write a whole lot on him because I can't go and write on there about how I thought the horse worked from the gate, because I didn't have any, it was on July 20th that he worked out of the gate, and they gave him a flat work, and nobody knew anything. And I don't go calling horsemen and telling them, hey, they didn't get your horse out of the gate. That's just not my style. But I felt it was him. Well, he debuted on July 31st, and he put him in a $100,000 race. First time out. $150,000 claiming. He went off at 8-1 and won by 5 1/4, and it wasn't even close. They were betting on this O'Neill horse that also, they had gotten it all wrong on XBTV. She was the best one. They'd given her a bad work. So, the money was down on the O'Neill horse. It finished 4th. But Dirty Rich went off and paid $18. I had it right up on top, on the sheet. And I just couldn't run any additional info on it because I couldn't write it because all I went is on my gut feeling.
Well, you were right on that one, and it paid. Sometimes it pays to be right.
Watching horses and how they're geared down, and a lot of guys, they just look for horses to be. They look for horses to be best in gate drills and this. And there was a one this weekend named Baraka for Walsh, and my comment. Worked out of the gate. We had the video on it. Hold on. Gotta find. Anyway, it was Saturday, and on the 13th, I'm pulling it up as we speak. It was the 5th race. And it was the 10, Baraka. And my comment was, Touch of an Angel was much the best in a 3-horse set in 23-2, 34-4, 47-2, and a minute flat on our watch. Baraka broke well and was geared down in 24, 36-1, 48-3 behind Angel. Now, if you read that, I am not telling you that Baraka got outworked. I told you she broke well and geared down. I picked her second on there. So, I'm telling you that, that a lot of people would have looked at that drill on September 5th and would have automatically thought she got outworked. And in
by a stakes horse, though, right? By a stakes horse, right?
No, Touch of an Angel was another.
Okay, I must be getting that confused with another horse. Okay.
Yeah, but my point is, if you read the comment, it says Baraka broke well and was geared down. What I'm telling you is what you think he got outworked. It didn't. That was by design to pull the horse back. I've had quite a few winners like that where I watched the horse break out of the gate really well and they grab it. Another one was Princess Daddy last year at Del Mar. Not this year, but the prior year. And I'll read to you the comment that I had on her. She ran first time out and paid 6-1. Nobody liked her because they all thought she got outworked. My comment was on August 10th. It was August 10th. Let's see. Okay, it was actually the first work was July 26th. And she went 35-4. But here's what I had. Glorious Oscar and Princess Daddy. Glorious and Oscar, Princess broke from the gate. Daddy went less than a quarter and was geared down, galloping out in 37-1. Glorious was a bit more hard to gear down, going 36-4, 50-3. Daddy was very quick and showed a ton of gate speed. Come back on August 10th. Princess Daddy, she is one quick princess, opened up after the start and then grabbed under a big hold. As Oscar went by under a handride in a rush, she shut down well and re-engaged on the turn in 36-4 and 51-2. She is well handled and fast. How about that going into a debut, right? And I had a guy that had a horse in a race come down to the paddock, come down to where I was clocking, and he goes, "Who do you like in my race?" And I said, "Which one?" He told me. It was a Princess Daddy race. And I said, "I like the Palma." He looked at me, Chris, like I had 3 freaking heads. Nobody, because he was tight with other clockers, nobody had said a word to them. I told a buddy of mine, I said, "Go look at that work." And he goes, "How do you like that Palma? She got outworked." I said, "Go back and watch the work." He went back and watched it, paid attention to detail, and he comes back and goes, You're right. He had a tunnel run. He grabbed her, let that other horse go on, and then he let her finish along on the inside. So again, we go back to the beginning when we started on this recording. Attention to detail. Attention to detail is the key to understanding racing and understanding what's going on.
Well, I think that's a good note to end it on. We appreciate your attention to detail, Bruno. And I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing all your insights of the many years of experience you've had of watching horses and workouts. And I also appreciate the audience out there. And may you all boldly go where
I will. Let me finish with this one, okay?
All right. Sure.
I will end this by telling you, I hope some people open their eyes and understand workouts better. But I'll use something my daughter said to me one time. I was at Santa Anita. She wanted me to pick her up from school early. And I said, honey, I'm working. I'll come pick you up as soon as I'm done. And she looked at me. She texted me back, Daddy, all you do is watch horses go around in circles. She wasn't wrong.
Spot on. She's spot on.
Exactly.
But there's nothing more fun, right? There's nothing better than watching horses run around in circles.
Exactly. All right, Chris, talk to you.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody else. May you all boldly go where no horse player has gone before.